Is mishe Iagan Machnil.
Na broken cosach gorum, seachad dhéanach na mavaca agus mappa di mo live.
Agus ha mit dol chosioch Slighe tastelach tros scíide is nach il mór an eolais itchad acam na críochan. Fydd Slighe an nuv Cuithbeirt mi haar 300 míle aga a mul rosh na críochan far an ro Cuithbeirt an dosioch na vanach chun an náte far an jacha hiolachig eilein nuv Lindisfarne far clatoch Northumbria. Han scíide seo a bhí a taring hastealaich fad fascid míle go lé bliana.
Han mishe ed ma hastelach chéin, gus barach gaine mach mi in Cuithbeirt, agus an dlia seo a chai einimachig ed a hon.
Bro na chlachge ga, so naiche, weet al sies gaan glattig, agus na hesse sanuske, gadouins kun ranuske tien gaan navi, agus a goer ni fat na haiche.
Ha mijn dochus kan tor een turusso gewoon koren bergig tuf spirital na beha. Halwarig echtriel gach truf jen dlia, ha je lentin na krieche alapa agus Sasainn agus a gamanen a gal tarsenora. Se scíide a chonig strí sapid go leabhar trna líntsin.
Blár monig ancram, blár na fúlteach ann ach chai an lá leis na halapaní.
Ha dúlacham coiseach tro helion álainn, bí Jane síte a bhís ann.
As in ule eolach go bhfuil alapa einimal is an bhítar scuinn, immer seo síte an an nua wá, ach a dhéanaan sin ha gama álainn.
Gal an nŵb haar drochot yn bria. Tol làrach echtrial. Is bart yn boioch. Grunachach na trahad strú liani. Agus a cwyd eolas caraj yn ura.
Am a charaj veic gefas nas cuairt dúm sa tín nas ascaram.
Agus fat an dúil bí mi féin barach amach mi ein Cuithbeirt, Unaran, Sláinear agus Éspig. Sa phrògram mi Yeavering rannig mi a náte sáirte Malia le barach sneachga.
Ag múdach wide open hill seo, Jevo Joe Shellian yen Narinjoch, ma himichel lost.
Chwala mi ma reverin yn crí.
Probably involves all the fun stuff like burglary, larceny, kidnap, extortion, cattle rustling.
Agus ma cheol na scíide le na ceart an taistal.
The most famous gypsy monarch was Queen Esther. She more or less made a living receiving visitors, two early tourists.
Agus hachad mi ad cuinich an orasan a gafan drias a Rome. Aan sa phrògram seo, táiseach mi ag Kirk Yetim, cudi mi mo chúl the alapa, agus bi mi stad fisker ag baile maricage woolar.
Yn diw ga mi tarsin na críche alapa agus Sasainn, sa lá mór roham, sna beunt an tíbia de féfdum, a chai forstanoch go bhfuil fáte chríal sy'n Nicholas seo, sy at y ffacal tís coffi gaifsyn a hadol seachad. Chanéir na bear ro lá y mesg na bewn.
Kan ich mi ddys yn nŵr ymwch calain mach gien, jef mi mach barach man dlia fwyasyn, agus cwtioch man y cosichin is na tastalich a gafan rads a Rome.
Thanks for having me here in your church. How are you today?
I'm fine and welcome to Yeavering Kirk.
I noticed as I came in also that you opened the church to walkers along the St. Cuthbert's Way. But why did you first of all do that?
I think that we're conscious that people are walking the St. Cuthbert's Way for different reasons. Some is just they're walking to enjoy the countryside. Others are on a pilgrimage. I think they're looking for some kind of meaning, some kind of healing, maybe to deepen their faith in some kind of way. And we feel as a church we have to be there for them. We like to have our doors open so people can just wander in. It may be that I'm not here or one of my members isn't here, but they're able to come in, go into the kitchen, have a coffee, make some tea, and just have some peace.
Well, that sounds absolutely lovely. What types of people come along the route, but also where have they come from?
I've only been here 3 years, and most of that has been pandemic.
Of course, yeah.
But people have been walking, a lot of people have been walking, and recently it's been more people from within UK, as I say, for different reasons. Some are theological students who are walking, and two, very interestingly, walked the way and beyond, right the way to Iona, without any money, without phones, relying completely on the hospitality of strangers, which was wonderful. It was wonderful to meet them.
And how do you feel that they enjoy the St Cuthbert's Way?
I think that they do. The countryside is marvellous, and I think that there's going up the hills, looking at the rivers, the streams. I think that they're aware of God's creation. And I think also, I always hope that people engage with the here and now as well, and what's happening as they wander through the rural area and see the changes in rural life.
Do you still feel that the church and the way, the St Cuthbert's Way, have a strong connection?
Yes. And it's something we're building on. We've got an ecumenical group from both sides of the border, and we've been meeting to bring out a brochure, trying to stress the spiritual nature of the St Cuthbert's Way. It isn't just a walk, but it has a spiritual element to it. And most of it is enjoying the countryside, the wildlife, but also the people you meet. And I found I've been in several pilgrimages, and I find it's the people who are important, and just engaging with them, spending the time of day, meeting the local people, I think is so very important, stopping at the local shops. And I think that you gain so much, and you gain a sense of the area that you've been in. But I also hope people, in just seeing the wonder of God's creation, and in reflecting a bit on the life of Cuthbert, because it's in Cuthbert's Way, and just having a little insight into Cuthbert, and you get a special sense of God's love, I think. And Holy Island is so special. I think on the way there are so many thin places that you feel heaven and earth are somehow coming together.
Son a chiad víle je, bí mi an dachuit, Slighe Cuithbeirt agus Slighe na Pennine. Be an Daraich a chiad Slighe náisiúnta an Sasainn, da chiad 3.8 míle vo cheann go ceann. As a seo, chanel mi 8 míle vo chríoch Sasainn, chanate gus an cúd mi cúl leis an dúig san Daraich Cuithbeirt.
Ha njaran seo jamarad a lentin Slighe na Pennine, ach an gerstad ha an da Slighe dol scarag, agus lena mishe d'irt, agus am dochus, gydig mi tarsin edd baile na Críche, agus ma ha na skillin mappa acam giergeleur, ha mi dochus Sasainn eichgin, a gra fáte de Sasainn, agus fáte goadapa. Seo is farvel an Slighe a scarag agus a dúf sin ha mit all lentin edd Slighe na Cuithbeirt ach mas Jeann sin ha mit all lentin d'irt Grisachvig edd Slighe na Pennine agus mit all làrach cluinn sorge vel echtri gama ingenoch. Agus seo iad, seo na stop steins neo stapichan nan ceart. Agus a réir choltis geraun ochge a bhíg ruig is ban ruig cheart a cheta machine is on an crúnag. Agus súil an an neachtarí an seo sa sedavis neo cuidam bheag achcha is on a dúine sórte sin a crúnag. Thach go bhfuilm gáil leis an neachtarí is on sin echcin. Seamanist in an críoch étar an dá ruig Sasainn a dúbh seo sa muideach fácail alapa agus féim isteach sé baile cloiche go mar siimplí hán a córachuig an críoch étar na nápian ach mi coite dúirt dá a dúbh seo lentin dúirt dhéchcinn tíharrám an na Sasainn. Becin vinnitjin is Diego Chin hadis i de críoch harod eingenoch diach in a bhéaló thuas i de chrochca sin agus seo carn ickles agus gúte godeach sin chocail is an na ciad chríostíon san scíide óna sé ickles in nu nachcail an na gála crí iclis. Agus am smúidin a seo am dul díadach sios a chroch ach a dhéine sin get harod be ceá an na dú ha mi mácha go bhí deo sealaíon acad dean an áraneach agus na hamí bhhéicin ha go má álainn.
Hamín níste tín go Gleann College. Agus chaneal grácha an neam í College neo Slighe an Jeorsa. Hánig an drúan go bí anna lí na joia nó de bheith joia srúag an nuas von Cuithbeirt. Sound an na Gleann College cúteach a hí sin Daraich Collingwood. Ha Stephen Crease na stúriche i an Naoimh.
Tell us a bit more about the plantation that's behind us. It's quite an interesting history and connection with the Collingwoods.
Yes, that's right. So Lord Admiral Collingwood's wife planted those oaks in 1815, and it was after the Battle of Trafalgar, and obviously after his death as well. So he never actually got to sow them, but it was his wish that they were planted, and it was to replenish the British fleet.
And did they ever get used as wood for the warships?
Unfortunately, they didn't. The idea was a good one, but we moved on from wood.
So yeah, the technology had overtaken by that time?
Yes, aye. And they were planted, like I say, in 1815, and they're still standing there today, over 200 years old.
Tell me a bit about the word college and the College Valley. Is that as obvious a name as people might think, or is there a bit of history behind the name?
I think it's a little bit of history behind the name, and I think it refers to the old language of Col being a boggy area and Lechy being the wet, rivery sort of feature in the land. And there's another local explanation that they say it's the cold edge of the hill on the north side of the Cuithbeirt.
Is this the cold edge of the Cuithbeirt?
It can be. It can be, definitely. But we do have a little climate on this side, our own little climate on this side, because Cuithbeirt tends to hang on to a bit of the weather as well when we don't get it this far north, which is not that far, to be fair.
And the next stage, what should I be looking out for? What highlights are likely to be ahead of me in the next bit of the path?
So in the next bit of walk, we have some wild goats. We have the Hethpool Linns in the bottom there. That's a nice sort of feature in the landscape. And the ecology up here is sea trout come up the burn, but salmon can't because they can't get up the linn. Okay. So the sea trout scraffle up the side of the lane, and they're genetically identifiable as well as college sea trout.
Oh wow! So like the generations of sea trout are very much traced back to.
So they're a specific size to get up the linn, and the first time spawners go right to the top of the valley, second time spawners mid valley, and then the third time spawners are down the bottom, and anything bigger than that struggles to get up the linn.
And tell me about the goats. Wild goats, you know, for some it might be a bit scary or a bit frightening, but you know, what are they like, and how do you control a wild goat population?
The goats. It's believed that they were put onto the hill when the monks left Holy Island. where the walk ends, Lindisfarne. And so ever since then, they've just been roaming free on the hills here. And there's two hefts. There's one on Yeavering Bell where you'll pass on your walk, and there's one on the tors here, which we can see just behind us. And it's a very closely balanced, if you like, of the numbers, because if they get too high, the damage in the trees is not a very good thing. So we manage the numbers, and we try to live cull them. So they've been sent to Cheddar Gorge before, Windsor Great Park, for grazing conservation project.
Now, I've just crossed the border from Scotland into England, and that obviously comes with it a change in law for walkers.
Oh, yes.
What things should I be remembering now that I'm on the other side of the border?
So basically, in areas of right to roam, you can walk where you like on there, as long as you respect the sort of nature, if you like. This time of year, birds nesting and all that sort of stuff. And also you've got to stick to your footpaths in England as well. Like a farmer's field, for instance, you can't just wander through a field unless there's a footpath goes through that. Stick to where the signs are, and that's a happy days sort of thing, yeah.
Haminist Gianov Edenies ag heth Púlin. Chanil ska cholas orach and Gianni Turek and Jew.
Ma vical for big fish. Agus fascig buna díte. Agus nó bhfuil mí cosach sias bhfuil mí féin fuair manuisce agus chuna bhíon níos mhic seo iad an áhain. Agus tuach má na fuairme sin éin, tos with big fish agus fuacha gút. Seo Yeavering Bell agus am cluinn na góir íoich hos na hit. Agus hat bhí anna sanna ciat an bhléanach in a réir choltais. Ach am dós go bhfuil go má ceansaigte agus nach ticket as mé dhéwi.
Ag 8 hectaran sé Yeavering Bell an dún smó an na Northumberland. Ag am na Romanoch bha na Votadini fudacham en na tréf a bha fudach san dún id mid Ilden na saisce toiseach Slighe Cuithbeirt. An bhullach hiú làrach de choras siach fichiad bohan cluinn, ach han dlia hamisha lentin a gal timichal bewnach ruig. Ba chula che ddiaf gan a gŵr íoich a Yeavering Bell a cwmar pias ma fwam, ach díadach ynan.
Cúteach bhic von dlia agus am tín chun an làrach ingineach seo, làrach ac yma echtrial cúteach. Seo Ad Gefrin agus seo far an ró an lùchairt ag an ruig Edwin, ruig Northumbria san deach go bhliain. Sanna seo cúteach a bhaist an gisbig Paulinus 3 míle de bhuide Northumbria an san Naoimh Gleann fas go bhaidh.
Ha Roger Maiket fo Urus Gefrin at all Yesha Barachgo.
Well, we're standing today in what looks just really like, well, what it is. It's just a grass field with the sheep grazing it, but just less than 20 centimetres below where we're standing, just 20 centimetres below the surface, are the traces of a large settlement and indeed a royal township. It's a site which we've known about for a long time. In fact, the monk who's living at Jarrow, some 47 miles south of us, and he records about 831 AD, he records the king who came here with his queen and with her bishop. He tells us that Paulinus was here for 36 days, from morning till evening, baptizing and catechizing people in the River Gleann, which is just lying over the brow of this hill to the north of us. He calls it Ad Gefrin. at the Hill of the Goats, which is, of course, Yeavering Bell, lying just to the south of us. And it wasn't seen until 1949, when in flying over this field in a very hot summer, an aerial photographer who was recording archaeological sites picked up the crop marks of rectangular buildings lying within this field. And so at last, the site was rediscovered in 1949.
What have the excavations told us about the people who lived here and what their lives were like? And maybe, as you say, it was a royal site. Was it a wealthy site?
We presume it was a wealthy site, and this is a heroic age of warrior kings, the pagan, part pagan, and then converting to Christianity at this time. We're told they give gold rings, they give weapons, swords, they have great wealth at their disposal. But sadly, an excavation on this site, very, very little of this wealth has been found. It seems a paradox, in a sense, that a site which is royal and a township should, through its archaeology, produce so little. But this is partly because, of course, this site has been ploughed for centuries and material has disappeared from it. But what we do know through excavation is we know something of its extent and the size of the buildings. You look at it today, and yet if you were standing here 1,500 years ago, you would be amongst a bustling settlement of very, very large timber buildings. And I mean very, very massive timber buildings. And not just one settlement. It was a settlement which went through several stages within a century. There were something like 4 to 5 settlements rebuilt successively here, each of which consuming vast amounts of timber. Now the site is a settlement. It's also a royal township. It is where the king came with his court when he was on his peripatetic journeys around the kingdom. The court would go on tour around the kingdom, settling problems, resolving disputes, making sure things were done in the right way, proclaiming laws which needed now to be followed. And it's a centre of power. It's a centre of the way in which the whole kingdom was ordered. We know the royal buildings. We can see the King's Hall, we can see the hall that the king stayed in, the hall that the king gave out his proclamations and greeted kings and people from the church and elsewhere who came here while the king was resident in this place. We can see the kitchens. So we have an early pagan temple in timber, and we have an early Christian church in timber at this site. And these are very rare things for us as archaeologists to find anywhere. And we have what stands as yet the most, the singular building which we know of nowhere else in the Anglo-Saxon settlement throughout the country, is a large grandstand where people gathered and were spoken to from a little platform within 30 metres of where we're standing. That grandstand would take something like 360 people sitting.
What do the most recent excavations show up?
Well, the most recent excavations are a remarkable recommencement of work at this site, because when the site was excavated in the 50s, not all of it was excavated. The world of archaeology has moved on. The most stunning results come not from work in the field, in a trench, but actually from a laboratory. And new tools, new techniques of research, new discoveries, radiocarbon dating, analysis of bone. In the excavations, we found so much within a building which was only vaguely hinted at from the aerial photographs, but had a sunken floor, and within that sunken floored structure, a great deal of information had settled. It was a book. It was in the layers of soil were the pages of this book. And we were reading this book from, well, really from the back page, the latest page, and we haven't yet read that book because we only came across it last September. And the work in the laboratory is now giving us more words on that page. So it's an endless story. And there are little books all over this field. It's a diary of the site, and I'll never see that read in my lifetime.
Tá mé tíadach hín tro na tíviad agus chos me sias Slighe bain Hambleton agus a rút a bh córtadum a farteo an lia ché gromíag áte agus am fechcin an náraneoch agus an talamh me himiceal orm fat agus hiú san míltún thoiseach gorm agus an Jeffar dahan na cailtún na túhannasan na bartún bacon na bartún móra ha me himiceal ort agus féimara gur é sealaíon gymas snoc a ha rád nó dá tín tro na tíviads. Seaminist an the Wooler agus show a chiad baile acan id an dúbh show gan an críich, ba maracad achcan show on trísih lín diog agus háas gach blianna ha maracad bhuaich an achca. Ach va immer lá dudamh ag a baile show, éidir an cheireh lín diog agus an diamh lín diog, thug na halapanich imig úsaí id a baile show.
Ach, chanel ska hier in Alpen nog zo, ach, na zuchtig.
Hi, can I have 100 grams of the Berwick cockles, please?
Of course you can, thank you very much.
Very popular locally, I believe.
It really is. Berwick cockles, the best one in the shop.
That's good to know, good to know. Hopefully they'll keep me going on the St Cuthbert's way.
I think it will.
Do you sell many of these?
The Berwick cockles and our Scottish tablets are our most popular. There's lots of local sweeties and people are using them when they're going for the walks around the local places like St Cuthbert's Way and all of the lovely local beauty spots we've got.
I'll be paying for this and getting on my way.
Enjoy and have a fantastic day.
That's great, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye now.
Bye.
Agus le páchad an láin rútan millish ha me gisal son Cumaidh rán. Sa ná phrògram tála mí iad uamh Cuithbeirt.
Bha gúrnaí agus a fuireach lei sin, bhíoh dúine tíon agus siad cóirle bhfuil
Ga mi tarsin na trad iad matin te húine na céista.
Spending Easter here on Holy Island is just magical.
Agus rúci mí críoch mo chuairt.
Seo far an ró, na seo tucadachin far an ró Cuithbeirt a fuideach. Can you me dul scanna sacha na seo?